if you abide in me and my words abide in you. So let's go to these bowls here this morning. Look, we have some bowls here. These bowls represent human life. And the spirit of a person, let's say, the spirit of a person is clear, let's say. But as soon as a person is incarnate, as soon as they become flesh, they're born into sin. You don't have to teach little children to sin. It just comes naturally. Why is that? Well, they're born into sin. And, sin comes into lives. And sin taints and causes difficulties for people in life. And sin comes in all sorts of colors. And as that little child that's been incarnated into the world starts to grow, different types of sin come in. And for some people it's one thing, for others it's another thing. But there's all different colors of sin, and they come into the world. And people grow and they mature and they get caught in different traps of sin. Sin just comes in and affects their lives. And so you see people living their lives sometimes filled with sin. Filled they are with sin. All manner of problems and difficulties. The sin just affects them. And that sin just turns that which is on the inside of them, turns it so that it's dirty. And people can become very dirty, sick with sin. Jesus comes, and Jesus offers us his life. And he says to us, I'll give you abundant life. I'll give you the word. And you can become clean through the washing of the word. As you read the word of God, it washes you clean. As you become born again, you're washed. You're clean before God. Here's the thing. He calls us to live under his influence. And there's a huge problem in the church because many people don't choose the influence of Jesus and his words. That's why they don't experience what we've just read. My words abide in you. You'll ask what you desire and it shall be done for you. Where's the problem? The problem is people don't abide in his word. And when people do abide in his word and they experience this, the people who don't abide in his word complain and say, oh, it's okay for you, it's okay for you. Well, hold on a sec. It's not a case of okay for you. It's a case of you're not abiding in his word. He's called you. He's given you what to do, but you're not doing it. And so he says, abide in my word. But what happens is people then, what they do is they soak themselves like sponges. They soak themselves in the things of the world, the television, the influence of friends, can be family members, people who they respect. They start to respect that which shouldn't be respected. They start to admire that which shouldn't be admired. And then that influences them. And they carry that. And what happens is they then influence others, and they take that to other people, and that creates an influence that changes those other people, and it feeds them with that which is wrong and polluting and wicked and evil and of the enemy. And so instead of affecting people with truth and purity and the words of Jesus, what happens is they're affecting people with fake news, with the lies of the enemy, with wickedness and evil, with doubt, fear and failure. And the testimonies that we've heard this morning of people standing in faith You meet some people and they're all doom and gloom. They're all critical, negative and critical, and criticizing other people, negative, failure, doubt, and all of that. And that's like this. It just pollutes and it spills over. But the Christian life is never meant to be like that. Jesus, the one who we are following, is calling us this morning. Please hear me. He's calling you this morning. All you young ones, okay? Starts young. When you're young, don't listen to anything else. Make it your number one ambition to listen to the words of Jesus. Where do you find them? In the scriptures. Listen to the words of Jesus. Your friends, let me tell you something. You know your friends, those ones who are in school, who everyone looks up to, they may be the kingpin of the school. Let me tell you something. The chances are the poor things are fools. Don't look up to them. Look up to Jesus, the one who split history in two, into A, D, and B, C. Look up to Jesus. Jesus has got plans for you. Jesus' power in you can change this world. Amen. The question is, are you prepared to come under his influence? Are you prepared to abide in him and allow his words to abide in you? You know, when words abide in someone, what happens? What does that mean? Well, what's to abide? Where do you abide? If I ask you, where do you abide? You're going to tell me where your house is, where you live. That's what Jesus is saying. Let his words abide. How does that happen? They've got to spend a lot of time in you for that to happen. It's not just a case of reading a verse and, oh, that's very interesting. I'll take that on board. Very interesting. No. That's not it. That's not abiding. Abiding is, I've got a lunch break. What am I going to do? I'm going to take the word in me. Well, it's like you're becoming a fanatic. That's right. I'm a fanatic. I'm an absolute fanatic for Jesus. I want to take in his words. I want to be under his influence. I want to listen to godly people and listen to them talking about what Jesus has done, talking about how he has impacted their lives. I want that for my life. I want to be under the influence of godly preachers. I love listening to preachers. I love listening to some of those preachers. I like listening to people who have just experienced this. Let me read it out one more time for you. Let's start to abide in this. This is the verse again, John 15:7. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. My friends, it's not about greed. It's about the desires for life. It's about, I want to visit my family. It's about, I want to help those people over there. It's about all sorts of things that God will help us with when his word is abiding in us. That's what he's called us to as believers. He's called us to action. This is the action. Are you with me? This is the action. And then what happens is, because we've been abiding in his word, we've been in the purity of his word. In the purity of his word, what happens is we take that word in. That word has come into us. And now when we live our lives, wherever we go, whatever we do, that word is coming out, but it's pure. It's feeding people. It's water to people. It's nourishing to people. It's giving people life. It's causing things to grow. The purity of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the reality of these words in us is manifesting from us, and it's having a good influence. My friends, it's so simple. This is the most simple illustration as you can see before you. It's this. What you choose to spend your time in will have a direct consequence on how you influence the people around you and the world in which you live. If you choose to spend time being influenced by the television, by the negative news and negative people, you will be a person who is negative and having a negative influence in your life. But if you choose to spend your time in the Word of God, believing the words of Jesus Christ, saying, I believe the gospel of Jesus, I'm going to believe these words. I'm not going to be moved by what I see. I'm not going to be moved by emotions. I'm going to stand on the Word of God. I'm going to allow the Word of God to be the thing that I put my faith and trust in. I don't care what the X-ray says. I don't care. I'll change the X-ray by the words of my mouth. You say you sound like a madman. To you, it may be mad.